welcome you all to this third session of the third day of the faculty development program. I am Professor Debojyoti Bhattacharya. I am the chairman of this session. And in this session, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Bhomik will present his very good lecture. The title of the talk is Yoga is a Way of Life, an Integral Approach. I think that everybody will enjoy this lecture and will be benefited from this lecture. And I am now giving a brief biodata, brief introduction of Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Bhomik. And Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Bhomik is a assistant professor of the Department of Physical Education, Tripura University, and his teaching experience is 12 years. Already he published 5 books, very good books. One of the book is that a textbook on yoga and health, and he also write 2 important books based on the CBSE curriculum of CBSE physical education of for class 12 and class 11, and more than 25 papers he already published in peer-reviewed national and international journals, and also he's a frequent writer in different newspapers and magazines, and already 15 articles he already he wrote already, and already 2 PhD scholars have been awarded working under his supervision, and 2 more scholars are working. They are now registered scholars. I am now requesting Sanjeev to present his lecture. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I think my presentation is visible, PPT. Hello?
Yes, it's coming.
Oh.
Okay, we are observing it. Okay.
I think my PPT is visible. Shall I start?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
you can start.
Okay, thank you. Okay, welcome back in this post-lunch and last session of the day. I know after having lunch, you might be feeling full, and towards the end of this FDP, I presume that your brain is almost full with lots of valuable information. But I'm here to take a little leftover time and space left in your brain through trying to keep it relaxed. So be relaxed and enjoy the time. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start with the presentation, I would like to take few seconds to express my gratitude towards the coordinator of the faculty development program. This faculty development program, Dr. Syed Arshad Hussain. He is one of the famous, popular, and knowledgeable professor in our university, and he always helped me in everywhere for inviting me to deliver a lecture and giving me this FD platform to share few information regarding you. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank the chairman of this session to giving me the opportunity. Thank you, sir. So today my topic is youth is a way of life and integral approach. In this topic, I will cover 3 subtopics, that is Ashtanga Yoga. The second one is yoga, the natural immunity booster, because now the pandemic situation due to Corona, everybody wants to develop their immunity. So I will discuss today how we'll develop our immunity through yoga. And then the third one, we'll practice practically the mindful meditation. So yoga has become an international subject today. People from different walks of life, cultures, tradition, and religion are now looking at yoga to find relief, whether physiological, psychological, or spiritual. Yoga is an ancient culture in our country. people right from Mohenjo-daro times have been practicing yoga techniques. They benefited, and as a result, generation after generation continued and spread its roots. Yoga is applied in arts, science, and culture. Example, Natya Shastra, Ayurveda, etc. It would not be wrong to say that yogic constitution and its ideology and technology are intertwined in everything that is Indian. We see this most in the education, therapy, and social sciences. The way one sits and stands or bends, yoga is certainly involved. The Indian habits of sitting is indebted to yoga just as much as the process of prayer or meditation. More than this external part, it is the act of thinking and feeling and willing. Truly speaking, yoga is a complete control of all mental activities. We as Indians should be proud of our heritage of yoga. Yoga is integrated education affecting the whole personality, body, mind, and spirit. So, the systematizer of yoga, Maharshi Patanjali, also known as the founder or father of yoga, he defined the yoga as Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. That means yoga is the cessation of the modification of the mind. So this is the definition. That means the aim of this yoga is to achieve the liberation or moksha. And we can see that in all the philosophy, especially the Indian philosophy, their aim is to achieve the higher super consciousness. And Maharshi Patanjali also saying the same thing. So now we proceed to our first topic, that is Ashtanga Yoga. Actually, Ashtanga Yoga, it is the way of life. Maharshi Patanjali defined in this Ashtanga Yoga that how we live in the society, how we behave, how we contribute in this society and the country and for the world. And what should we observe in our life. So this is the Ashtanga is the way of life. So Maharshi Patanjali says in his classical work Patanjali Yoga Sutra in chapter number 2, sutras number 29, Yam Yam Asanam Pranaya Pratyahara Dharana Dhyan Samadhiya Ashtangani. Ashta is the Sanskrit word for 8. Anga simply means limb. Thus, Ashtanga Yoga means 8 limbs, referring to the 8 limbs of yoga organized by Maharshi Patanjali. These 8 limbs of yoga encompasses all the practice necessary for the sadhaka or who practice yoga to gain health and vitality, to cultivate awareness and understanding, to gain insight into the deeper dimension of their self and the universe around us. So out of 8 limbs, the first 5 are Yam, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara. And these first 5 stages are also known as Bahiranga or external practice of yoga. They progressively prepare the body, mind for the last 3 stages. These are Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. And these 3 stages or limbs are known as Antaranga or internal practice of yoga. So the first one is Yama. The first limb is Yama. Maharshi Patanjali mentioned in his classical work, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Ahimsa Satta Aste Brahmacharya Aparigraha. That means Patanjali listed the 5 yamas for us. The yama actually means the social code or social discipline, and the 5 yamas are, according to Maharshi Patanjali, there's Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha. The first one is Ahimsa. Ahimsa means non-violence. Ahimsa should be practiced on both behavioral and mental levels. Not only actually causing injury or others should be avoided, but also even thinking of violence should be avoided. The ahimsa should be observed all three levels, that is kaik. Kaik means bodily. The second one is bachik. Bachik means by speech. And third one is mansik, that means mind. That means Patanjali want to say that violence not should only by body, means कभी कभी हम लोग क्या करते हैं, किसी को मार दिया, हाथ से मारते फिजिकली, दैट इज कम अंडर द टाइप. और कभी कभी हम गाली गलौज करते हैं किसी को डिस्टर्ब करने के लिए, तो इसलिए बातचीत में आ जाता है. एंड द थर्ड वन इज द मानसिक, द माइंड. कभी कभी हम लोग सोचते हैं, मन ही मन में सोचने लगते हैं कि भाई पता नहीं नींद से उठा, किसी को देखा और मन के अंदर सोचने लगे कि आज किसको देख लिया, दिन कैसा जाएगा. तो these things are come under the mansik, that is in mind. So Patanjali want to say that we must follow the ahimsa not only by kaik or bachik, that means the by body and speech, but we observe it in mind also, by mansik, in our mental level also. The second one is satya. Satya means commitment to the truthful. So satya means to speak the truth. Speak the truth. Yet it is not always desirable to speak the truth on all occasions, for it could harm someone unnecessarily. We have to consider what we say, how we say it, and in what way it could affect others. If speaking the truth has negative consequences for another, then it is better to say nothing. Satya should never come into conflict with our efforts to behave with ahimsa. So the life of King Harishchandra provides a very good example of a man devoted to Satya. So I like to tell you the story of Harishchandra, Raja Harishchandra, and I like to speak in Hindi this story. Actually, there is two sages, Vishwamitra and Vashishta. They are very famous, and we know that they are the greatest sage in our ancient India. विश्वामित्र एक दिन वशिष्ठ एक दिन विश्वामित्र को बोलते हैं कि मेरा जो शिष्य है राजा हरिश्चंद्र, वो इस दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा सत्यवान है, उनसे ज्यादा सत्यवान इस दुनिया में कोई हो ही नहीं सकता. विश्वामित्र जो उनका राइवल थे, जो उनके समकालीन थे, तो विश्वामित्र ने कहा कि वशिष्ठ ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता, ऐसा हो नहीं सकता और मैं इसको प्रूफ कर सकता हूँ. तो वशिष्ठ ने क्या किया कि एक साधु की वेश में, एक गरीब साधु की वेश में वो हरिश्चंद्र के महल में पहुंच गए. तो जब पहुंचे उनकी संसद में, तो हरिश्चंद्र महाराज को कहा, साधु ने कहा कि हे राजा, आप मुझे दो आशीर्वाद दीजिए, और मैं आपसे दो आशीर्वाद चाहता हूं, मैं भीख मांगता हूं आपसे दो आशीर्वाद. तो राजा ने उनको देखा और ही इज वेरी काइंड हार्टेड. तो हरिश्चंद्र ने कहा कि ठीक है, जो चाहे वो मांग लीजिए, आप बेझिझक मांगिए. तो साधु ने मांग लिया हरिश्चंद्र से कि मुझे आपके जो ये राजपाट सब चाहिए. हरिश्चंद्र ने कुछ बिना सोचते हुए उन्होंने अपना पूरी राजपाट उनको दे दिया. देने के बाद वो अपनी पत्नी और बच्चे को लेके काशी की ओर निकल गए, क्योंकि राजपाट देने के बाद उनके पास कुछ भी नहीं बचा, तो वो काशी की ओर निकल गए. जब जाने लगे तब वो साधु दोबारा आया और बोला कि मुझे जो दूसरा वरदान जो आपको देना था वो भी दीजिए. तो हरिश्चंद्र ने कहा, मांगिए, क्या मांगना है. तो साधु ने मांगा कि मुझे 1.5 बुशल ऑफ गोल्ड कॉइन चाहिए. 1.5 bushel, 1 bushel is equal to, अगर हम kg में वो करते तो 25.4 समथिंग kg होता है। तो उन्होंने कहा, तो राजा ने कहा अभी तो मेरे पास है नहीं, आप मुझे 1 महीने का समय दे दीजिए तो हम आपको दे देंगे। 1 महीने के बाद वो आए, आने के बाद 1 महीने के बाद फिर वो साधु आया और बोला कि मुझे दे दीजिए जो मैंने मांगा था उससे। लेकिन हरिश्चंद्र ने 1 महीने में उन्होंने कुछ नहीं कर पाया, कोई पैसा जमा भी नहीं पाया, कोई काम ठीक से भी नहीं कर पाया, तो इसीलिए वो दे नहीं पा रहे थे। तो जो साधु है उन्होंने बोला ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, बहुत एक्साइटेडली साधु ने कहा ठीक है आप मान लो, जो आप झूठे हो, आप सत्य बात नहीं कहते हो, आप झूठे हो, आप मान लो। तो ये सब देख के हरिश्चंद्र जी की जो पत्नी है उन्होंने कहा कि डियर आप मुझे बेच दीजिए और उनको पैसा दे दीजिए। हरिश्चंद्र बिना चाहते हुए भी उनकी वाइफ को बेच देते हैं और साथ में बच्चे को भी बेच देता है, और वहां का जो एक जमींदार है वो खरीद लेता है, और ये लोग बिना पैसे की जिंदगी भर काम करेंगे, पेनीलेस स्लेव। लेकिन उनको बेचने के बाद भी वो पैसा, वो सोने का जो कॉइन है वो हासिल नहीं कर पाए। तो राजा ने अपने आप को भी बेच दिया, हरिश्चंद्र ने अपने आप को भी बेच दिया। उसके बाद सारे पैसे जो है उनको दे दिया। देने के बाद अब सारे लोग काम करने लगे, वो अपने अपने जो मास्टर है उनके लिए काम करने लगे। और इन द मीन टाइम जो है हरिश्चंद्र जी की जो पत्नी और बच्चे हैं वो अपने मास्टर के लिए काम कर रहे थे। वो पूरा दिन काम करने के बाद भी मास्टर खुश नहीं होते थे। और इधर इन द सेम टाइम जो हरिश्चंद्र जी है उनको भी एक शमशान घाट में उनको रख दिया, जो भी आएंगे उनको जलाना है और उस पैसे फीस लेना है। तो एक दिन क्या हुआ कि हरिश्चंद्र जी के जो पुत्र है उनको सांप ने काट लिया, और काटने के बाद वो बच्चा मर गए। मरने के बाद वो उनकी जो पत्नी है उसको गोद में लेते हुए आया है शमशान में। तो शमशान में आने के बाद हरिश्चंद्र देखा अपनी पत्नी अपने मरे हुए बच्चे को, डेड बॉडी जो बच्चे का है उसको लेके आया है। तो हरिश्चंद्र देख के बहुत रोया और उन्होंने कहा कि मैं अपने मास्टर के अंडर में काम करता हूँ, अब जब तक आप पैसा नहीं दोगे मैं उनको जला नहीं सकता। तो उनकी पत्नी ने कहा कि आप जानते हो कि मैं पेनीलेस स्लेव हूँ, मेरे पास कोई पैसा नहीं है। और हरिश्चंद्र ने कहा कि मैं भी नहीं जला सकता क्योंकि मैं भी मास्टर के लिए काम करता हूँ, जब तक आप पैसा नहीं देंगे तो मैं नहीं जला सकता। तो दोनों जब ये सिचुएशन देखे, दोनों रोने लगे, बच्चे को देख के रोने लगे। तो फाइनली इन लोगों ने डिसीजन लिया कि चलो कोई बात नहीं, हम जब जी नहीं सकते मर तो सकते हैं। तो इसीलिए हरिश्चंद्र ने क्या किया कि जब आधा जला हुआ है, आप उनकी ऑनेस्टी को देखिए कि उन्होंने किस मतलब नया यूज नहीं किया है। जो आधा जला हुआ है, जो जल गया, उनके ऊपर जाके बैठ गए, बच्चों को लेके पत्नी के साथ बैठ गए और जलने लगे। उसी टाइम ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश्वर और सारे जो देव देवता है वो नीचे आते हैं और आके हरिश्चंद्र को बोलते हैं कि आपका जो टेस्ट है सत्यवान होने का वो पूरा हो चुका है, हम लोग बहुत खुश है। और जो भगवान है उनको उनके बेटे को वापस कर देता है। और इन द मीन टाइम जो विश्वामित्र है वो भी आ जाते हैं। सेज विश्वामित्र आके उनको अपना जो देश है उनका वो लौटा देते हैं। तो कहने का मतलब ये है कि आप ऑनेस्टी का लेवल देखिए। तो हम तो पतंजलि कह रहा है कि जो ऑनेस्टी है वो इस लेवल का होना चाहिए कि हम किसी भी कंडीशन में ऑनेस्टी हमारी अंदर रखना चाहिए, सत्यता हमारे अंदर रखना चाहिए, तभी हम लोग हमारी जो लाइफ है उसको अच्छे से लीड कर सकते हैं। तो this one second one the satya. Now the third one is asteya. Asteya means non-steady. Actually the word came from the stare. Stare means steady, to still, and asteya means in the opposite, to take nothing that does not belong to us. It is not limited to depriving others of their belongings, but it also means not keeping an intention or desire to possess things belonging to others. Thus, it is mental asteya. In the present time, what we see, instead of stealing copyright materials and the plagiarism, often practiced by the writers and speakers, are the example not in keeping with austere. Other examples are taking and giving bribes and also enjoying many undue privilege. This should also be practiced on all the three levels, that is, body, by speech, and by mind. The epic Ramayana provides a good example of a man who devoted practice the principle of austere. हम लोग सब जानते हैं कि जो अयोध्या है, अयोध्या का राजा दशरथ थे और दशरथ की 3 पत्नी थे। पहले थे कौशल्या, कैकेयी एंड सुमित्रा। कौशल्या का एक बेटा था जिनका नाम था राम और वो क्राउन प्रिंस था अयोध्या का। देन कैकेयी का एक बेटा था शत्रुघ्न और सुमित्रा के 2 बेटे थे लक्ष्मण, भरत एंड सुमित्रा के 2 बेटे थे लक्ष्मण एंड शत्रुघ्न। कैकेयी वाज द मिडिल वाइफ एंड वो भारत की माँ भी थी। तो जब कैकेयी को पता चला कि राम का राज्य अभिषेक होने वाला है और वो राजा बनने वाले हैं, तो उनको वो सेटिस्फाइड थे, उनको अच्छा नहीं लगा। उनको लगा कि उनका जो बेटा है भरत, उनको राजा बनना चाहिए। तो उन्होंने दशरथ के सामने गए और जाके बोला, महाराज आपने जो मुझे 2 गुण दिए थे पहले, अब वो मुझे 2 वरदान जो दिए थे वो मुझे दीजिए अभी। तो राजा दशरथ रिप्लाई, सर्टेनली माय बिलव्ड। देन कैकेयी ने मांगा उनसे कि मुझे ये वरदान चाहिए। पहला वरदान ये चाहिए कि आप भारत को राजा बनाइए और दूसरा वरदान ये चाहिए कि राम को 14 साल के लिए वनवास भेज दीजिए। तो दशरथ ना चाहते हुए भी ये करना पड़ा और राम जो है 14 साल के लिए वनवास चले गए, लक्ष्मण और अपनी पत्नी सीता के साथ, सीता माता के साथ। तो क्या हुआ, इन द मीन टाइम भारत को समन भेजा गया कि भाई आप आइए जल्दी से जल्दी। तो भारत जल्दी से आता है। आने के बाद जब देखता अपने राज्य में कोई खुश नहीं है, बहुत स्थिति खराब है, तो उनको लगा कुछ तो हुआ है। तो उन्होंने सीधा अपनी माँ की घर में गए। जब माँ के घर में गया तो कैकेयी उनको देख के बहुत खुश हुआ और बोला कि बेटा आप राजा बनने वाले हो और आपका पिताजी का डेथ हो गया और आप राजा बनने वाले हो। ये सुन के भारत को बहुत बुरा लगा। उन्होंने कहा कि माँ आप जो है ना बहुत ग्रीडी हो गए हो और आपके चेहरे से वो ग्रीडीनेस जो है वो झलक रहा है, और मैं कभी चाहता ही नहीं हूँ कि मैं अपनी भाई का, बड़े भाई का जो राज्य छीन के मैं चलाऊं उसको और रोल करूं। ये मैं नहीं चाहता हूँ। मैं अभी चाहता हूँ और भाई को, बड़े भाई को लेके आता हूँ यहाँ पे रोल करने के लिए। तो भरत चित्रकूट पहुंच गए। चित्रकूट की जंगल में पहुंचने के बाद राम से मिलने गए और राम जी को बोला कि भैया आप आ जाइए, आपको पता है कि मैं नहीं चाहता हूँ बुक करो। तो राम को भी पता था कि वो भरत ऐसा चाहता नहीं है, लेकिन राम ने भरत को बोला कि जब मेरे पिताजी ने वचन दिया तो मुझे फॉलो करना है और मैं आ नहीं सकता, आप जाइए और राज्य को चलाइए। भरत मान नहीं रहा था, तो वशिष्ठ ऋषि जो है उन्होंने इंटरवेन किया। इंटरवेन करने के बाद वशिष्ठ ने कहा कि आप जाओ, 14 साल के बाद राम आएंगे तो फिर आप उनको दे देना। तो वशिष्ठ की बात सुन के भरत ने मान लिया और भरत ने कहा कि भैया 14 साल का एक दिन भी अगर लेट हो जाए तो मैं आत्महत्या कर दूंगा। और फिर वो रामचंद्र से ये बोलते कि आप मुझे आपका सैंडल दे दीजिए। तो रामचंद्र का जूते लेते हैं और भरत चले जाते हैं और भरत जाके अयोध्या में जो सिंहासन है उसमें राम जी का चरण पादु का जो सैंडल है वो रख देते हैं और वो अयोध्या से जुड़ा हुआ किसी गांव में चले जाते हैं और वहां पे जैसे राम जिस परिस्थिति में रह रहा है भरत उसी परिस्थिति में रहते हैं और वहां से राज्य पर चलाते हैं। तो कहने का मतलब यह है कि भरत जो है वो चाहता तो वो कर सकता था, लेकिन भारत ने ये नहीं किया। किसी का चीज जो उनकी हक में नहीं था, जो उनके लिए नहीं था, वो उन्होंने चुराया नहीं। तो आस्ते जो है हमारी महर्षि पतंजलि के हिसाब से हमारी जो आस्ते इस तरह से होना चाहिए जैसे भारत ने दिखाया। Then the 4th one is brahmacharya. The brahmacharya is used mostly in the sense of abstinence, particularly in relation to sexual activity. Actually, the brahmacharya They came from the Sanskrit word, and it is came from two words. These are Brahma and Charya. Brahma means supreme reality, and Charya means mode of behavior. Thus, the broad meaning of Brahmacharya is mode of behavior which will be conducive for reaching the highest goal for the spiritual sadhaka. Brahmacharya does not necessarily imply celibacy. Rather, it means responsible behavior with respect to our goal of moving towards the truth. And the fifth and the last yama is aparigraha. Aparigraha means to take only what is necessary and not to take advantage of a situation or act greedy. We should only take what we have earned. If we take more, we are exploiting someone else. The yogi feels that the collection or hoarding of things implies a lack of faith in God and in himself to provide for his future. Aparigraha also implies letting go of our attachment things and understanding that impairments and change are the only constant. So these are the 5 yamas: ahimsa, satya, asta, brahmacharya, and aparigraha. The next, second limbs of Patanjali Sutra is niyam. Patanjali said, Swacha santush tapaswada ishvara pranidhanani niyamaha. The word niyama came from the Sanskrit, the means rules or law. It is the personal code. These are the rules prescribed for personal observance only. Like the 5 yamas, the niyamas are not exercise or action to be simply studied. They represent for more than an attitude. Compared with the yamas, the niyamas are more intimate and personal. They refer to the attitude we adopt towards ourselves. So Maharishi Patanjali says, Swach Santusta Paswata Ishvara Paridhanani Niyama. In the sense, the niyama also 5 types. These are Swach Santusta Paswata Ishvara Paridhanani. So the first is Swach. Swach means cleanliness or purity. The first niyama is Swach, is cleanliness, such as both an inner and the outer aspect. Outer cleanliness simply means keeping ourselves clean. Inner cleanliness has much to do with the healthy, free function of our bodily organs as with the clarity of our mind. So the question arises, how can one purify one's body? By usual way of cleaning one's body parts and keeping them in healthy conditions. Second, by consuming nutrition and vegetarian diet, making the internal environment pure. And the third, by cleaning internal organs by neti, basti, dhoti. These are the kriyas we have performed like many instruments to cleaning our internal organs. You can say this. This is the sutra niti, danda dhoti, and this is this on the pot for the jal niti. So through this instrument, we can clean our internal organ. So this way we can purify our outer body and inner body. Now the second question is arise. So then how can one purify or one's mind? Then the answer is by allowing healthy thoughts and emotions, and also by cleansing one's mind of unwanted thoughts, feeling and emotions. And the second, by mantras and prayers, one can cleanse one's thought process. So when I'm talking about the prayers and mantras, it is different for every individual because the people are belong to the different religion. So the mantras they must follow according to their religion. Prayer they must follow according to their religion. The second one is santosh. Santosh means satisfaction. You can say is satisfaction. Another niyam, the second niyama is santosh, and the modest and the feeling of being content with what we have. To be at peace within and content with one's lifestyle, finding contentment even while experiencing life's difficulties, for life becomes a process of growth through all kinds of circumstances. It means being happy with what we have rather than being unhappy about what we don't have. जनरली क्या होता है कि हम लोग, हमारे पास जो सामान होते हैं हम इससे खुश नहीं होते, लेकिन दूसरों के पास जो सामान होता है उससे ज्यादा लगता है कि वो बेहतर है और वो मेरे पास होना चाहिए। इस तरह की सोच हमारा रहता है। तो ये अगर ये सोच रहा है इसका मतलब we are not satisfied. That's why the Maharishi Patanjali says it means being happy with what we have rather than being unhappy about what we don't have. So this is about the santosh. Now the third one is tapas. Tapas means purification plus self-defense, self-discipline plus austerity. So tapas refers to the activity of keeping the body fit or to comfort and handle the inner urges without outer shows. Literally, it means to heat the body and by so doing, to cleanliness it. Behind the notion of tapas lies the idea we can direct our energy to enthusiastically engage life and achieve our ultimate goal of creating union with the divine. Tapas helps us burn up all the desire that stand in our way of this goal. Another form of tapas is paying attention to what we eat, attention to body posture, attention to eating habit, attention to breathing pattern. These are all tapas. That means how we prepare our body for the next limbs or the path, how we be cross the obstacles. And the fourth one is swadhyay. Swadhyay means self-study, and this one is the fourth one, fourth niyama. So swa means self and adhyay means study, inquiry or examination. Any activity that cultivates self-reflective consciousness can be considered swadhyay. It means to intentionally find self-awareness in all our activities and efforts, even to the point of welcoming and accepting our limitation. It teaches us to be centered and non-reactive to the dualities, to burn out unwanted and self-destructive tendencies. So this is the swadhyay. And the last and the fifth niyamas is Ishvara Paridhana. Ishvara Paridhana means to lay all our actions at the feet of God, means surrender to the God. The I consciousness of the man is easily removed by Ishvara Paridhana. The I consciousness is the product of unreal knowledge when we identify ourselves with our body, mind, and thoughts, etc. With surrendering our being, we surrender our ego and thus become egoless. The egolessness is a foremost condition and quality with all creation of God. Thus, he may go towards self-realization. So to understand the Ishvara Paridhana, we can understand by the story of Prahlad. Prahlad is a disciple of Vishnu. Actually, the Prahlad जो है वो हिरण्यकश्यप का पुत्र है और हिरण्यकश्यप जो एक दैत्य है और वो भगवान में विश्वास नहीं करता और ब्रह्मा से उनको ये आशीर्वाद प्राप्त था कि उनको कोई मार नहीं सकता, ना इंसान मार सकता है, ना कोई पशु मार सकता है, ना दिन में वो मर सकता है, ना वो रात को मर सकता है, ना सुबह मर सकता है, ना और ना वो किसी वेपन से भी नहीं मर सकता, ऐसा उनको वरदान मिला हुआ था। तो इससे मतलब ये हो सकता है वो अमर हो गया है और उनको लगा कि वो अमर हो गया है और जिसके कारण वो जो है भगवान की वो विश्वास नहीं था, वो अपने आप को भगवान मानने लगा। वो चाहता था कि इस दुनिया में जितने भी लोग हैं जो भी है वो उनका पूजा करें, जो उनको पूजा ना करेंगे तो उनको मार दिया जाएगा। तो उनका जो पुत्र था प्रहलाद, तो प्रहलाद विष्णु का भक्त निकल गया और वो जब भी चाहते थे हिरण्यकश्यप कि उनको पूजा करे, भगवान विष्णु को ना करे, लेकिन वो मानता ही नहीं था। इस पे गुस्सा आके जो हिरण्यकश्यप है वो कहा कि प्रहलाद को मार दिया जाए। तो प्रहलाद को मारने के लिए उन्होंने तरह तरह की कोशिश की, कभी सांपों के जहरीले सांपों के बीच में रख दिया लेकिन वो मरा नहीं, कभी हाथियों के बीच में रख दिया मराने के लिए। जब भी वो इस मुश्किल में रहता है वो हमेशा जो भगवान विष्णु को याद करते रहते हैं। तो इस तरह से किसी प्रकार ना मरने के बाद जो उनकी हिरण्यकश्यप की बहन है होलिका को बोला कि तुम मारो इसको। होलिका को ड्यूटी दिया गया और होलिका को एक वरदान मिला हुआ था कि वो अग्नि से नहीं जल सकते हैं। तो होलिका ने सोचा कि मैं इस चीज को यूज कर लूं। तो होलिका ने क्या किया कि प्रहलाद को अपनी गोद में लिया और आग में जाके बैठ गया। जब आग में जाके बैठा तो ये जो इंटेंशन था, ये इविल इंटेंशन था होलिका का, ठीक है, वो चाहती थी कि वो मर जाए, लेकिन वो विष्णु का भक्त निकला और विष्णु विष्णु जपता रहा। तो ये जो इविल एक्ट था होलिका का, तो भगवान ने उनसे ये जो मैजिक है ये छीन लिया, जिसके कारण जब खत्म हो गया तब देखा गया कि प्रहलाद तो बच गए, लेकिन जो होलिका है वो बच नहीं पाया। तो इस तरह से हिरण्यकश्यप जो है बहुत परेशान हुआ है। होने के बाद हिरण्यकश्यप ने कहा कि अगर तुम्हें लगता है कि विष्णु हर जगह पे है, विष्णु तुम्हारा भगवान है, विष्णु हमेशा तुम्हारी रक्षा करता है, तो विष्णु को बुलाओ यहाँ पे और इस दीवार से बुलाओ। जैसे उन्होंने बोला तो पुत्र ने कहा ठीक है। तो उन्होंने विष्णु को बुलाया तो विष्णु आया। लेकिन विष्णु जो है एक अवतार लेके आया, उसके नाम है नरसिंह, मतलब आधा शरीर ह्यूमन बीइंग का था और आधा शरीर जो है वो लायन का था, इसलिए उनका नाम था नरसिंह। और वो जो समय था वो समय था गोधूली का, जिसका मतलब ना दिन था ना रात थे, और उनको घर के बीचों बीच और अपनी जांघों पे रख के नरसिंह ने मारा। इसका मतलब ना घर के अंदर, ना घर के बाहर, ना दिन में ना रात में, और ना वायु में ना जमीन पे, उनको यहाँ पे रख के मारा है। मारने के बाद फिर प्रहलाद को वहां का राजा बना दिया जाता है। फिर प्रहलाद रूल करने लगते हैं। तो ये सब इसलिए हो पाया कि इतनी शक्तिशाली जो दैत्य थे, जो भगवान भी नहीं मार सकते थे, लेकिन वो प्रहलाद को नहीं मार पाया क्योंकि उन्होंने हर चीज जो है सरेंडर कर दिया था टुवर्ड्स द फीट ऑफ गॉड। सो दिस इज द कॉल ईश्वरा प्रणिधान, तन मन धन से भगवान के प्रति आस्था रखना। सो दिस वाज द लास्ट last niyamas, Ishvara Paridhana. So now we'll move to the third limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, that is asana. So asana is often translated as posture, but literally its meaning is same. Asana are the physical posture of yoga, and the third limbs in Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. The practice of asana to develop the habit of discipline and the ability to concentrate, both of which are necessary for meditation. In chapter number 2, sutras number 46, Maharishi Patanjali said, Sthiram Sukham Asana, meaning the posture should be steady and comfortable. It has been found from the various researches that the practice of asana causes a shift towards parasympathetic function of autonomic nervous system. It results in inward awareness, introspection, tranquility, and an inner satisfaction. Asana are known to tone up autonomic nervous system, respiratory system, endocrine glands, spinal cord, and visceral organs. This results in an overall physical and emotional stability. Certain asana named as relaxative and meditative are especially suitable for mental and spiritual aspect of human personality. So, the fourth limbs of Ashtanga Yoga is pranayama. Pranayama, which literally means stretching or expansion of prana, the vital life force, involves the breath control and helps train and prepare the mind for dharana, that is concentration. There are three important movements in pranayama: Puroka, that is inhalation; Rechaka, that is exhalation; and Kumbhaka, that is retention of the breath. And this is the fourth. senses. We know that we have the 5 senses: smell, sight, hearing, touch, and taste. So through the pratyahara, one gains the ability to withdraw the senses from their object, thus achieving the perfect control over the sense. Pratyahara means drawing back or retreat. The word ahara means nourishment. So pratyahara translates as to withdraw oneself from that which nourishes the sense. In yoga, the term pratyahara implies withdrawal of the senses from attachment to external object. It can then be seen as the practice of non-attachment to sensorial distractions, as we constantly return to the path of self-realization and achievement of internal peace. It means our sense stop living of the things that stimulate. The senses no longer depend on these stimulants and are not fed by them anymore. That means pratyahara. That means pratyahara. Ahara means nourishment. That means आँखों का what will be the ahar? आँखों का, the eyes का आहार ये है कि हम बहुत खूबसूरत चीज देखा तो उसकी तरफ भागने लगा देखने के लिए. अगर हम वो उसकी तरफ ना भागे, that means हमने प्रत्यय क्या त्याग किया. इसका मतलब है तो हमारा प्रत्याहारा हुआ है. इसका मतलब है जो खूबसूरत चीज है उसको देख के हमें कुछ फीलिंग नहीं हुआ है, अगर वो खराब भी होता तब भी हमारा फीलिंग सेम रहता. तो दैट इज नोन एज प्रत्याहारा. The next one is dharana. Dharana means concentration of mind. It is a step before meditation and is concerned with fixing awareness on one object to the exclusion of all others. If the state of pratyahara has been achieved, then all outer disturbance should have been eliminated. Yet the mind is still full of inner chatters in the form of memories of the past and projection of the future. The mind thinks of and tries to relieve the past pleasant experiences, is obsessed by unpleasant experiences, or is planning or fearing the future. Various methods can be used to induce the mental one-pointedness. Religion in general try to induce in through rituals, church service, puja, chanting, kirtan, prayer, and so forth. Patanjali Yoga utilize a psychic symbol as a focal point for internal concentration. It can be one's guru, a deity, a mantra, an inquiry. It can be almost anything. It must be something that spontaneously attracts the attention of the individual and must be chosen to suit the inherent nature of the mind and personality. The psychic symbol projected in front of the closed eyes must be so overwhelming that one's whole being is consumed and absorbed by it. There must be spontaneous attraction, otherwise one's psychic will be remains scattered. Arjuna replies to his guru Drona's question provided in fine example of dharana. क्या हुआ कि एक बार द्रोणाचार्य ने सोचा कि अपनी जो शिष्य है उनकी स्किल टेस्ट लिया जाए. तो उन्होंने कौरवास और पांडवास को बुलाया. बुलाने के बाद गुरु ने एक पेड़ में एक लकड़ी का जो पंछी होता है उसको रख दिया, और रखने के बाद उन्होंने टेस्ट लेना शुरू किया. सबसे पहले उन्होंने युधिष्ठिर को बुलाया. बुलाने के बाद उनसे कहा कि आप क्या देख रहे हो. युधिष्ठिर ने कहा मैं ये नीला आसमान देख रहा हूँ, ये पेड़ देख रहा हूँ, ये पंछी देख रहा हूँ. जब ये बोला तो द्रोणा ने बहुत गुस्सा हुआ, उनको बोला कि आप जाओ. ऐसे करके उन्होंने बहुत सारे जो उनके डिसाइपल्स एक एक करके बुलाते जाए और सबका आंसर सिमिलर टू युधिष्ठिर था. ये सुनकर उन्होंने बहुत क्रोधित हुआ और क्रोधित होने के बाद उन्होंने बोला कि तुम लोगों से कुछ नहीं हो सकता. तो उन्होंने अर्जुन को बुलाया जो उनका सबसे फेवरेट शिष्य है, उनको बुलाया. बुलाने के बाद उन्होंने अर्जुन को बोला कि आप पंछी को मारो. तो जब उन्होंने धनुष लिया तो द्रोणाचार्य ने पूछा अर्जुन से कि आप क्या देख रहे हो. तो अर्जुन ने जवाब दिया कि मैं जो हूँ मैं पंछी की राइट आईज को देख रहा हूँ। ये जवाब सुन के द्रोणाचार्य बहुत खुश हुआ। इसका मतलब, कहने का मतलब ये है कि कंसंट्रेशन इज लाइक दैट, कि ऐसा नहीं कि आप दुनिया के बारे में सोच रहे हो और हर चीज के बारे में सोच रहे हो। आप जो सोच रहे हो बस उसी में आपका फोकस होना चाहिए। दैट इज dharana. The next and the seventh one is dhyana. Dhyana means meditation. Dhyana is merely an extension of dharana. It is arises when one is able to maintain a smooth, unfluctuating flow of concentration towards the inner symbol for a period of time. The mind becomes molded around one patterns in the form of the psychic symbol. The flow of awareness is often compared to a smooth flow of well. तो रत्नाकर एक डाकू थे। उनकी जो स्टोरी है कि ध्यान कैसा होता है और किस तरह से होता है, क्या स्थिति होगा हम लोग का, उनकी स्टोरी सुन के हमको थोड़ा सा ध्यान के बारे में कॉन्सेप्ट आएगा। तो एक्चुअली क्या हुआ था, जो रत्नाकर एक डाकू थे और वो जंगल में निकल रहे थे, तो उन्होंने उनको पकड़ लिया। पकड़ने के बाद उन्होंने कहा जो भी है तुम्हारे पास वो हमें दे दो। तो साधु ने रत्नाकर से पूछा, आप जो ये कर रहे हो इसका रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी कौन लेगा? तो उन्होंने कहा कि मैं जो कर रहा हूँ इसके जो जिम्मेदार व्यक्तियां है और उसका जो पाप मैं कर रहा हूँ उसका भाग जो है वो मेरी पत्नी लेंगे, मेरे बच्चे लेंगे, मेरे जो फैमिली मेंबर से बोलेंगे। तो साधु लोगों ने हंसा और उन्होंने जाके बोला ठीक है, अपने फैमिली मेंबर से पूछ के आओ कि वो लेंगे या नहीं लेंगे। तो साधुओं को बांध दिया, उन्होंने पैरों के साथ बांध के उन्होंने बोला ठीक है मैं चेक करके आता हूँ। तो घर में गया, जाके पूछा अपने पति से। तो पति ने कहा मैं क्यों लूंगा, आपका काम है खाना ला के देना और हम लोग के लिए खाने की व्यवस्था करना। तो आप ये कर रहे, तो आप जो पाप कर रहे हो उसका वो क्यों लेंगे? तो उसने अपने पापा के पास गए। जब अपने पापा के पास गए तो पापा ने बोला क्या हो गया बेटा, तू आज बड़ा बहकी बातें कर रहा है। तो फिर उसने अपने बच्चों के पास भी गया तो कोई राजी नहीं हुआ है। तो फिर वो डरते हुए फिर उस साधु के पास आया और आके उन्होंने बोला कि आप मुझे कोई रास्ता बताइए जिससे मैं इस पाप को ढूंढ सकता हूँ। तो साधु ने कहा कि भाई ठीक है, आप जंगल में बैठ जाओ और जो है बैठ के आप जपने लगो। तो क्या जपो? तो उन्होंने कहा मारा जपो। मारा द नेम ऑफ यमराज। यमराज का और एक नाम है मारा द नेम ऑफ द गॉड ऑफ डेथ। तो उन्होंने बैठ गए पैरों के नीचे। बैठने के बाद उन्होंने चैंटिंग करने लगा मारा 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 मारा। तो बहुत साल ऐसे निकल गया और निकलने के बाद ये जो मारा मारा है ये उल्टा हो गया और रामा रामा होने लगा है और फिर कुछ चैंटिंग हो गया रामा रामा रामा। तो बहुत सालों के बाद जब वो साधु यहाँ से फिर से वापस जा रहा था तो जाते वक्त तो रामा रामा साउंड आ रहा है। उन्होंने कहा क्या हो रहा देखते हैं। फिर ढूंढने के बाद देखा कि एक जो व्हाइट एंट का हिल, मतलब व्हाइट एंट का एक पहाड़ बन गया। एक्चुअली जो रत्नाकर थे उनके पूरे शरीर में जो व्हाइट एंट है वो अपना घर बना लिया था और वो चैंट करने लगे। तो फिर साधु ने उनको रोका और फिर उनसे बात किया और वही रत्नाकर जो है बाद में ऋषि वाल्मीकि बनते हैं और वो रामायण लिखते हैं। तो दिस इज द पावर ऑफ ध्यान एंड दिस इज द प्रोसेस हाउ वी परफॉर्म द ध्यान। द लास्ट limbs of the Patanjali Sutra is samadhi, that is super consciousness, or we can say the self-realization. So samadhi, the place, the union with the whole and oneness with the universe, is something that cannot be explained in words. It's something each individual must try to experience on his own. Perfect union of the individual's soul with infinite spirit. A state of oneness, complete absolution. So finally, when the self-awareness of the mind disappears and only the object of meditation shine through, it is called the samadhi. Samadhi, it is the inner feeling जो लोग करेंगे, those who are practicing the samadhi, they only can the experience. And this is a self-realization. So what is self-realization? Self-realization means, who am I? मैं कौन हूँ ये जानना. When we know about ourselves, then it is known as self-realization in samadhi. So this is the all about the Ashtanga Yoga. In Ashtanga Yoga, Maharishi Patanjali is mentioned how we live, what things will be followed. So hope you people, all the aspirant or the participants है वो समझ सकते हैं कि अष्टांग योग के थ्रू एक योग बहुत बड़ा it is a vast thing. Through this Ashtanga we can get a basic knowledge of yoga. So now I proceed to my next topic is the yoga, the natural immunity boosters. So this is the corona time. The people, all the people, I think, is very much interested to develop the immune system. So the lack of immunity is the more pronounced today in the whole pandemic. People with associated health conditions or low immunity are falling prey to the virus. As the session change, the chances of falling sick rise sharply. It's difficult for our body to keep the pathogen at bay when the immunity levels are down and people around us are sneezing and coughing. Though we cannot shun from being in contact with those who are ill, we can certainly work our way to strengthen our defense mechanism. So what is immunity or defense mechanism or immune system? The immune system is a collection of organs, tissues, cells, and enzymes all unite under one goal: protect the body. There are more than 200 different viruses that can enter our body at any given moment. In our hectic everyday lives, we are prone to runny nose, cough, cold, stomach ache, and many other illnesses. Proper hygiene and healthy eating habits can reduce the risk of common sickness, but we don't have to stop there. Yoga can also help us fight infections by boosting our immune system, reducing the stress, and strengthening our body's functioning system. Yoga and meditation can help to reduce the stress and build immunity. The immune system is our body's personal soldier, Navy and Air Force system. The highly advanced piece of technology that is the human body becomes with its own inbuilt defense system or mechanism. Without the immune system, we would have no protection against harmful substances from the environment, diseases, and harmful cells. Antibiotic and other medicine do help the body recover from the disease, but they don't help improve the body immunity. You're perhaps one of the most effective and time-tested natural immunity boosters that we can adopt for the healthier life. It is an ancient art to strengthen the body and also relax the mind. So let's have a look at a few simple yoga asana that can help us to strong resistant or boosting our immune system. There are so many asanas, pranayamas, and the kriyas can boosting our immune system, but here I mentioned only 10 asana and 10 very easy and simple asana which one can practice easily. So the first one is Sarvanga Asana. So how we perform the Sarvanga Asana? For the Sarvanga Asana, there is 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the steps. You can see in the slide. The first step, we lie down on the floor on our back, and then we raise both the legs up to 60 degree, and then second step, we bring the leg up to 90 degree, and then we bring the leg towards the head, and the leg should be parallel to the ground, and then we'll raise our whole body upward by the help of our hands. we must remember when we perform this asana, our chin must be attached with the chest. So this is the procedure how we perform the Sarvanga asana. One can perform it in this way also, 30, 40, 30 degree. First they will use 30 degree, then 45 degree, then 60 degree, and then 90 degree, and follow the other steps. So what Sarvanga asana do exactly? Sarvanga asana enhance the blood flow to the thyroid and parathyroid glands, which stimulate their functioning and ensure the one set of the thyroid. The liver and kidney are massaged and they would function better. Sarvanga asana allows lymph drainage, blood circulation to out, release pressure from back, so it turn our nervous system can completely relax and rest. For optimum immunity, we need our nervous system to be fortified and functioning properly. So this is very effective asana to boosting the immune system. The next is Hala asana. So the procedure of the Hala asana, the technique of the Hala asana, in your left side, it is the final posture. So first we'll lie down in supine position, and then we'll raise our leg, both the legs up to 90 degree, and then bring our legs towards the head, and the legs should be parallel to the ground, and then place our toes on the floor. So this is the technique of the Hala asana. So one can again start this asana like Sarvanga asana. First they will raise 30 degree, then 45, then 60, and then 90 also. So it is depend to individual how they want to practice. So what exactly is Hala asana do for boosting the immunity? Hala asana helps to release white cells in the body and strengthen the immune system. The third asana is Matsasana. So the technique of Matsasana in your left side, it is the final posture, and now I'll talk about the steps. The first, we'll sit in long sitting position, and then we'll perform the Padmasana. After the Padmasana, we'll lie down on our back, and then by the help of our hand, we'll raise our head and place our forehead close to our trunk region. And then we'll catch our big toes with our index finger, respective index fingers, and then place our elbow on the floor. So this is the final posture of Matsasana. But if someone have some problem to perform the Padmasana, they can simply lie down in supine position, and by the help of their hand, they can place their forehead close to the trunk region, and they place their both the hand on the thighs. So this is the simple technique of Matsasana. So what Matsasana do? Matsasana expand the chest. When we perform this Matsasana, it expand the chest and stimulates the thigh muscle. This helps improve the body immunity level. Then the next one is Setu Bandha Asana. So technique concerned, this is one of the most easy and effective asana. We just lie down on our back, and then we bend our both the knees, and from there we'll try to raise our whole body, raise our body as much as possible. So what Setu Bandha Asana do for the immunity system? The Setu Bandha Asana opens the heart and improves blood circulation. It increases energy in the body to help put a better resistance against pathogens. And then the next one is Bhujanga Asana. So Bhujanga Asana, another effective asana for boosting the immunity system, and this asana is on prone position. So first we'll lie down on prone position. That means our chest on the ground, and then we'll place our both the in step number 1. You can see place both the hand close to our chest, and from here we try to raise our head as much as possible. You can see in the step 3. But remember, do not raise your navel region and do not give any pressure on your hand. So this is the Bhujanga Asana. Bhujanga Asana, chest opening asanas, and it helps to release the white cells that improve the body immunity. Almost all the back bending asana helps to release white cells, and we know that the white cells are improve the body immunity. The next one is Dhanura Asana. Dhanura is a bow posture. Dhanura Asana, again, it is a prone line position. We lie on the floor in prone line position, and then we bend our knees and bring our legs towards our head, and then we catch the ankles with our respective hand, and from there we raise our body upward, and remember that whole body weight should be on the navel region. So Dhanurasana is yet another the pose which helps to release the white cells by putting pressure on the digestive system. Next one is Tara Asana. This is the most simplest asana. We just stand erect and we'll raise our hand upward above the head, and simultaneously we come on the toes and stretch our hand upward. We'll try to stretch our whole body upward, and we'll try to stand on the toes. In advanced cases, we can stand on the big toes only. So this asana is mainly the balancing posture, and its main benefit lies in improving the balance and improve the nervous system. Next one is Utkatasana. Utkatasana is also known as chair posture. You can see in the picture the final position is like a chair. One can when the one can sit on the chair, the position is like that. This is another the simple asana, but very effective. First, we'll stand. In advanced cases, we keep our both the feet together. In the beginners, we can feet apart, and then we'll raise our both the hands upward above the head and make a Namaskar Mudra, and then we'll try to bend our knees and come to in this position that our body posture should like that we are seated on the chair. This asana strengthens the immune system. This asana gives the abdominal organs a good massage and also stimulates diaphragm and the heart. The next one is Trikonasana. Trikonasana is a twisting posture, one of the twisting posture, and in standing position. The technique of this asana is the first step, we'll stand feet apart as much as possible, and then we twist. In second step, you can say, then we'll twist towards the right or left, and then if you twist towards the right, then we'll now bend forward and place our left palm on the floor beside the right foot, and the right hand should be upward. And the final position, we look towards the right hand finger. The same way we perform in the other side also. So Trikonasana is a spinal twisting asana. Already I told you, and the theory behind twisting helping our immunity is that improper digestion causes toxin to build up. These nasty toxins send the body out of whack and have potential to create infection or inflammation. Trikonasana, gently compress, twist, or stimulate the stomach can help with digestive issues. And the last asana is Vriksha Asana. It is very easy, but it is very tough for so many people because it is another the balancing asana. In that, again, we'll be stand erect, feet together, hands side by the body, and then from there we bend our left or right foot. If we bend our left foot, then place the left foot just beside and root of the thigh, and then we'll raise our hand above the head and make a Namaskar Mudra. We'll be concentrate any point, whatever in front of us. That will help to concentrate and balance the body. Again, this is like Tara Asana is the balancing posture, and its main benefit lies improving the balancing and enhance the nervous system. So the regular yogic practice and an overall balanced lifestyle are key to staying healthy and building immunity. Yoga can not only help with this, but also make us reach our full potential. To reap the immunity boosting results of yoga, it is important to practice asana every day and regularly. This will ensure that you help the body world of infections, and lead a healthy life. But if you practice only asana, that will not enough. You must follow some kind of rules in your life. That is that's I want to give you a few tips. Detoxify your body by drinking at least 6 to 8 liters of water daily. Get a sound sleep of 6 to 8 hours, including more green vegetables in your diet, and eat one time. Eat one time means you take the heavy meal only one time if you are above the 40 years. Make sure your diet is getting you your daily amount of vitamins and minerals. Adopt the Ayurveda and healthy lifestyle. Follow basic hygiene practice. So this all about the asanas, how they're boosting our immunity system. So now the next, that is third one topic is mindful meditation. So before the mindful meditation, I want to talk about the meditation a little bit. I already mentioned it in the Ashtanga Yoga Patanjali, but here I want to say something. If someone asks you what is meditation, my reply must be like that. The meditation can help us to understand our own mind. We can learn how to transfer our mind from negative to positive, from disturbed to peaceful, from unhappy to happy. This is the meditation, but how they work in our internal body and mental level. So mindful we'll talk about mindful meditation. There is lots of meditation technique in presence in this era, like Praksha meditation, transcendental meditation. There's many popular, but today I'll choose the mindful meditation because it is a very easy. Anyone can perform this meditation anywhere. He may be in the office, he may be in the home, or he may be in the park. Anywhere he can practice the mindful meditation. So in the modern society, our environment is fighting for survival, and human beings suffer from more and more physical and psychological stress. Due to this accomplished necessary tasks, we may find ourselves losing our connections with the present moment, missing out on what we are doing and how we are feeling. We cannot always control them, but can learn how to face them. So mindful meditation teaches these things. So mindfulness is the practice of purposely focusing our attention on the present moment and accepting it without judgment. Mindful is now being examined scientifically and has been found to be a key element in stress reduction overall happiness. So how we define the mindful meditation? So mindful is the quality of being present and fully engaged with whatever we are doing at the moment, free from distractions or judgment, and aware of our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. We train in this moment to moment awareness through meditation, allowing us to build the skill of mindfulness so that we can then apply it to everyday life. So the benefit of mindfulness, Professor Emeritus John Kabat-Zinn, founder and former director of the Stress Reduction Clinic at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center, helped to bring the practice of mindfulness meditation into mainstream medicine and demonstrate that practicing mindfulness can bring improvement in both physical and psychological symptoms, as well as the positive changes in health, attitude, and behavior. So the mindfulness meditation can improve our well-being, improve our physical health, and improve our mental health. And in context to the well-being, the increasing our capacity for mindfulness support many attitudes that contribute to a satisfied life. Being mindful makes it easier to savor the pleasure in life as they occur, helps you become fully engaged in activities and create a greater capacity to deal with the adverse events. In contrast to the second one, that is improving the physical health, scientists have discovered that mindfulness techniques help improve physical health in a number of ways. Mindfulness can help relieve stress, treat heart disease, lower blood pressure, reduce chronic pain, improve sleep, and elevates gastrointestinal difficulties. Mindfulness improves the mental health. That is the third one. In recent years, physiotherapists have turned to mindfulness meditation as an important element in the treatment of number of problems, including depression, eating disorder, couples conflicts, and anxiety disorder. So these are the benefit of mindful meditation. So we can understand the mindful meditation. Now we practice mindful meditation practically. So I hope that everyone seated on the chair. And for the best effect, I request to all the participants, please use your microphone. Use your microphone. So sit erect in the chair with an alert but comfortable posture. Back straight, hand resting in your lap. I think all are ready for the practicing the mindful meditation. Shall I start the mindful meditation?
Yeah, okay, sir. Please,
Okay.
we will follow your instructions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay. Please follow the instruction. Please use your microphone. So everyone, sit erect on your chair, or you may sit in cross-leg position on the ground, also on the floor. Back straight, hand resting in your lap, and feet flat on the floor. सभी लोग चेयर में सीधे बैठ जाइए. अगर कोई फ्लोर में बैठा हुआ है वो क्रॉस लेग पोजीशन में बैठ सकता है. आपका जो बैक है वो एकदम सीधा रहना चाहिए. दोनों हाथ आप अपनी लैप के ऊपर लेग में रख सकते हैं इस तरह से, या फिर आप दोनों हाथों को अपनी नी के ऊपर रख सकते हैं. आपका दोनों पैर जो है फ्लोर से एकदम सटा हुआ होना चाहिए. The back is straight without being stiff. The posture is relaxed, awake, and dignified. The hands can rest gently on the knees or on the lap. Make sure that you are balanced and not straining. आप एकदम ध्यान रखिए कि आपको एकदम सीधा बैठना है, बॉडी को बैलेंस रखना है और किसी तरह से स्टिफनेस नहीं होना चाहिए बॉडी. Loosen any tight clothes and close your eyes. अगर आपको लगता है कि आपने जो पहना हुआ है वो बहुत टाइट है तो उसको थोड़ा सा लूज कर लीजिए. थोड़ा सा शर्ट का बटन आप सामने का खोल के रख सकते हैं जिससे आपको फील हो, कंफर्टेबल फील हो. Loosen any tight clothes and close your eyes. Kindly close your eyes. Gradually notice the stillness of your body. Relax your stomach, chest, and shoulders. And being focused on your breath. पूरे शरीर को एकदम ढीला छोड़ दीजिए, लेकिन शरीर सीधा रहेगा. आपकी स्टोमक, आपका चेस्ट, आपकी शोल्डर सबको ढीला छोड़िए सीधा रखते हुए. और आप धीरे धीरे आपकी ब्रीदिंग के ऊपर, जो श्वास प्रश्वास है उनके ऊपर ध्यान दीजिए. Breathe in deeply through the nose. Allow the air to flow down to your diaphragm and then release. Repeat the breath. Allow the air to gently flow through. Notice a sense of calm as you breathe out. Release tension and stress as you gradually find a comfortable rhythm for your breathing. That is inhalation and exhalation. Become aware of the movement of the breath as it flows into and out of the body. Feel the breath as it comes into the body and as it leaves the body. Simply remain aware of the breath following in and following out. Not manipulating the breathing in any way. Simply being aware of it and noticing how it feels. आपको अपने श्वास प्रश्वास के ऊपर ध्यान रखना है, लेकिन उसको मैनिपुलेट नहीं करना है. आप अपनी तरफ से ब्रीदिंग को चेंज करने की कोशिश नहीं करेंगे. वो जैसा फ्लो हो रहा है उसके साथ चलना है और उसको ऑब्जर्व करना है. As you breathe in and out, notice any thoughts or feelings that you have. You might start to worry about the future or thinking about the past. It is normal for your mind to wander. Some feelings and thoughts might be very distressing, but do your best to observe and not judge. जब आप आँख बंद करके श्वास प्रश्वास के ऊपर ध्यान दे रहे हैं, तो कभी कभी हो सकता है कि बहुत सारा आपका जो पास्ट में जो हुआ है उसके बारे में आपके मन में बार बार आ रहा हो, लेकिन जो थॉट्स आ रहा है उसको आने दीजिए और उसको ऑब्जर्व करना है, जज नहीं करना है, कोई डिसीजन नहीं देना है, अच्छा है बुरा है इसके बारे में नहीं सोचना है. If your mind becomes distracted and it will become distracted, simply return to the breath. No commentary, no judgment. Make a note of the thoughts or feeling and what it is. Maybe you worried about an upcoming social event or thoughts about a conversation that didn't go so well. If a negative thoughts or feeling grabs your attention, make a note of it and then return to focusing on your breath. It's natural for your mind to wander to your social and performance fears, but try not to be critical of yourself. Again, if a negative thoughts or feeling grabs your attention, make a note of it and then return to focusing on your breath. It's natural for your mind to wander to your social and performance fear, but try not to be critical of yourself. Notice the thoughts or feeling, but don't follow it. And don't let your mind pursue it. Recognize that it's simply a thought. That is what your mind does. You can notice it and then let it go. If a negative thoughts or feeling grabs your attention, make a note of it and then return to focusing on your breath. It's natural for your mind to wander to your social and performance fears, but try to not to be critical of yourself. Notice the thought or feeling. Do not follow it. And do not let your mind pursue it. Recognize that it's simply a thought. It is what your mind does. You can notice it and then let it go. Allow yourself to be with this flow of breath, coming and going out. Again, focus on your breath, which is coming and going out. As you inhale, feel your belly expand and fill your lungs with fresh air. As you exhale, feel your belly contract, emptying out, creating space for a new awareness. Allow your attention to gently ride on the sensation of each breath. Not thinking about breathing, without the need to comment, simply watch you breathing. Simply watch you breathing as a third person. Allow the breath to naturally breathe itself, not needing to change it anyway. Giving full attention to each breath. Observe the full cycle of each breath. Locating the very beginning of the breath. As it enters the nose or mouth, and following it as it fills the lungs and expands the chest and abdomen. Then come to the gap where there is neither in nor out breath before it turns around and makes its journey out of the body. Simply remain present for the cycle of each breath, being there, letting your attention gently float on the awareness of your breath. When the mind wanders, bring your attention back to the breath. Knowing that you can always use the awareness of your breath to refocus your attention, to return to the present. Whenever you notice that you have drifted from the present, when you become distracted, preoccupied, or restless, the attention on the breath can be the powerful anchor to this moment and to this state of awake stillness. Now, for the time remaining, let go of all particular objects of attention, allowing yourself to simply be here, simply present, breath moving, sensation in the body, sounds, thoughts, all of it coming and going, allowing all of it and dropping to begin into stillness, present with it all as it unfolds, complete as you are whole. Now, slowly bring your awareness again on your breathing process, that is inhalation and exhalation. You just bring the awareness on inhalation and exhalation. Now, slowly bring your awareness on your body, that is from toe to head or head to toe. Just observe with closed eyes. Now bring the movement on your fingers and your legs. Now slowly rub your palm. Now smoothly press your face and slowly open your eyes. Slowly open your eyes. Thank you. Take your own time. Thank you so much. This is all about the mindful meditation. We just practice 10 to 12 minutes now. We can increase day by day, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and 1 hour. When you practice today, maybe you distract so many times, but by practicing regularly, you can develop the concentration and then you can perform mindful meditation very efficiently. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Sanjeev, for your nice lecture and practical demonstration. And I am sure that all the participants will be benefited from this lecture and practical demonstration. But now, some questions already the participants
Yes,
sent
please,
in the
sir.
chat box. Uh,
Yes,
I am
yes, sir.
just
Please.
asking you answer. The, from the last, that Amit Gupta, is there any scientific mechanism to prove that yoga boosts immunity?
Yes, whatever I said today, it is on the basis of the research only. Anyone can find the research online.
Hello. Hello. Most probably line is there is disturbance in the line. Hello.
Please wait. I am trying to contact him.
Hmm.
Hello, Dr. Sanjeev, can you hear me? Hello. Hello, sir. Dr. Sanjeev.
Hello, Sanjeev. I think that he disconnected. Yeah?
He is trying. He is trying.
Okay.
Please wait for a moment.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Chairman, sir.
Please.
Chairman, sir, please pass the questions.
Yes. The first question is that Amit Gupta asked, is there any scientific mechanism to prove that yoga boosts immunity?
Sir, already many research done on it. Whatever I said, it's dependent on the research only. And anyone can find in the PubMed and other sites also about it. But I already mentioned that how it's boosting the immunity system. Because what Sarvanga Asana do, especially the Sarvanga Asana help to tone up our thyroid, our parathyroid. So from thyroid, the one hormone is released. This is thyroxine, and we all know the thyroxine is the most important for general health. And the Hala Asana also help to release the white cells, and it is strengthening the immune system. Like that, so many backbending asanas also. Here I'm only mentioning the 10 asanas that one can practice easily. So it is on the basis of scientific research only.
Okay. And another question, whether immunity gets boosted instantly just after starting yoga, or one needs to perform yoga for a long period?
Okay. Maharishi Patanjali said, the prayatna shathalya ananta samapatti, means perfection will come after practicing for longer period. So if we thought that we are practicing today and tomorrow will be immunity will be boosting, that is impossible, quite impossible. So after practicing for a longer time, then it will be help. There is no immediate effect of yogic practices.
Not immediate effect, but how long it will take? Maybe 1 month or more.
Yes, after 1 month, one person can get the result, but it depends to individual. Many people can, the research says the effect will become after 21 days, a little bit. But it is depend on individual to individual. Someone can get the result of after 1 month, and someone will get the result from 3 months, or because it is all depend on the individual, their lifestyle, their ability of their internal organs. It is depends.
Okay. And Mihir Paul asked another question. What is the duration for performing each asana?
Yes, it is means every asana we can perform, means in the final position we can maintain 3 minutes generally, but the beginner will start from the 15 seconds, and day by day they will increase, and 3 minutes for the one asana is a standard time.
Okay. And Mohammad Joshimuddin, he asked one question, that can the prayer of Muslim in the form of namaz be treated as yoga?
Sir, pardon please.
Can the prayer of Muslim in the form of namaz be treated as yoga?
Treated is yoga, which I'm not getting the exact. I'm not getting the question.
And namaz is it that namaz can be treated as yoga?
Yes, definitely. Why not?
Okay.
Means when someone go for the namaz, generally they sit in the Vajrasana. But in their culture, maybe in their religion, they maybe say something. But in other religion, it may be called something. But generally, we know it as a Vajrasana, and what they move their head, and it is known in yoga as a Brahma Mudra. So then, and prayer, it may be, it is Hindu prayer, or it may be Muslim prayer, or it may be the Christian prayer. They all, the goals are same.
Okay, and the 10 yoga you just showed here, this 10 yoga that the corona related specific yoga?
No, there is no yoga corona related, sir. I'm just telling that this asana can boost our immune system. If our immune system is strong, the corona may be Hello.
Yes, well.
There is no treatment for corona. We are just boosting the immunity. And one thing I want to say, the yoga is a preventive, not curative. In many cases, like in psychosomatic disorder, it may be curative, but in nature, yoga is a preventive aspect.
Okay. And Ranguraj, he asked one question. What the first